What is up? Welcome back to another episode of the David Lopez Show. You already know. Presented by Passion Park Entertainment. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are listening to this at. For me, this is the morning. If you are looking at this visually, you could probably tell by the lack of openness in my eyes. That is a weird way to phrase that, but that is how I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna stick with that. It is, yeah. It's the morning. But happy Wednesday to whoever's listening to this on a Wednesday, because that's when I'm recording it. Anyways, I have a fun episode today. For those of you who are just listening to the audio, you will be directed to the interview with my friend Varsity. Very talented artist from Chicago. This was from a couple of months back, but he is blowing up ever since this, really. So it's very cool to hear him talk about some of the stuff that was planned for him and now is coming into fruition and whatnot. So it's a cool interview. Is a good friend of mine. He's also on Man on Fire on my album Direct Deposit. He is featured on that. He did a couple scenes in the short film Direct Deposit that I shot and have not released, but he's in that as well. So yeah, friend of the show, friend of Passion Park. Make sure you check his music out and keep up with him, follow him on social media and all that stuff. And enjoy the interview. If you're watching the video, you're just gonna be directed, or at the end of it, you'll be able to click on the video version of our interview to watch that. You know how this whole jazz goes right now. We are almost caught up. This is episode 17 as far as the relaunch of the podcast goes. This is episode 17. So once we catch up to I think like 19, then we'll be up to new stuff and up to date here. We're getting the whole office here a little changed around. As you can tell, comparative to the first batch of interviews, the office is different here. In our very, very expensive rent space that we, have our studio at. Not that I shoot it out of my apartment or something like that. That's not what I would do. I would never do that. That's exactly what I do. I do everything out of here. It's great. But one day we'll have our own place, right? I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. We'll see. Wherever the wind takes us. What does that even mean? I don't know. I'm high, guys. Good morning. Anyways, I thought about naming this podcast Blunts and Coffee, because that's generally when I talk to you guys after, doing that. Having that combo attack. That's usually when this comes out. Anyways, so that interview that I have with Brad's pretty long. It's like an hour-ish, something like that. So I'm gonna try to keep this pretty brief. But I just wanted to talk about some stuff. Before we get into like some sports stuff and a couple other topics that I want to get into, nothing too crazy. But I did want to mention really the most insane thing that I have seen all week, and it's probably, I imagine a lot of people are on board with this, but the fires in California, holy shit. I remember on this podcast talking about the fires like a couple months back when they had a really bad batch, and there were just some crazy pictures of it and stuff, and it looked insane. But this whole batch of fires with the campfire in Paradise and then the other fires that they got going on, like they have the two huge fires that were happening at the same time, just fucking insane. I think the death toll was up to 48. I had seen there was like 200 people unaccounted for. But then just visually seeing some of this, oh my God, some of the videos, they were just, or I saw it on Yahoo, there was they were mad at this guy who posted a video of like he was going back into the scene, and I think he might have seen some bodies or something like that. Nonetheless, the point was the visuals were crazy. Like he goes back into it, like where he barely got out, and there's just like everything's incinerated. Like it just, best wishes to everybody who lives out there. I know a lot of people lost their homes, but more importantly, a lot of people lost their lives, and it's hard to even believe those things when you see them. And like I don't even know exactly how they started. I know they keep calling it a campfire. I think there was some sort of electrical I read that there was like an electrical issue in the middle of, I don't know if it was a forest or wherever. But on this same topic, then, oh my God, President Trump tweets out like oh God, it's just so bad. I hate it. Like in every instance like this, there wasn't any empathy in that tweet that he had. It was all just attacking the forest management and the resources and stuff. And it's like, why is that I mean, look, I'm not even gonna get into the semantics of whether or not that's a real argument. I've heard some people say that that he was wrong, but whatever. I'm not even gonna get into that. What I'm gonna get into is, as the leader and somebody who's supposed to care about all these people, why is that the first thing you think of? Like in that situation, all these people are losing their lives, their homes, like they're in just despair, and like the first thing you think of is to attack. I don't know, man. That shit is terrible. Like I'm not even trying to get all political. I'm seriously just like, as far as just like feeling like, what the fuck, man. I don't know, but yeah, that shit is crazy. So best wishes to everybody out there who's dealing with that. I know it's generally speaking, it seemed to be that the fires, this batch was in a lot of nicer areas like Malibu and like this place called Paradise. It's crazy that Paradise was torn down, right? Like it's but that's symbolically speaking, that's I guess that's what I'm sure some people say something about that or something like that, because it's a very wealthy area and a lot of homes were torn down. But I mean, don't think about the money when you think about that. Think about people's memories and lives. Like that's wherever your situation is, like that shit that matters. That sucks. Yeah, so I definitely wanted to touch on that because I just haven't seen, I mean, just visually, I can't get those images out of my head. It's crazy, so I had to touch on that. But we're gonna bounce out of that. We're gonna touch on a little because that's a little serious note. I'm gonna now mention how I actually got to watch Saturday Night Live this week. I haven't done that in forever, so I actually watched some of Saturday Night Live. Liev Schreiber was the host. He's funny, man. I thought it was great. It was hilarious. The Kate McKinnon is, I mean, probably my favorite cast member. She's so funny. She carries whole skits in there. But she's great. So I hadn't got to like actually watch SNL, especially live, in such a long time, and I thought it was pretty funny, man. Like I thought maybe it was one of their better episodes. I thought it was good. But to touch on the music stuff, Lil Wayne was the music guest, so that was awesome. I was really looking forward to seeing that, and I actually thought, I don't know why I said actually. I don't know why I said it like that. I hate that. Somebody should call me out. But anyways, I just called myself out. I thought his performances were great. Like I really did. Halsey came up to do Can't Be Broken, right? Yeah, and man, that shit was dope. That shit was fire. Like, see, what I liked was that I feel like a lot of times on those SNL performances, especially with like more hard hitting music, like it's hard to understand them. I mean, maybe it's just the particular performances, but sometimes it's hard to understand. It can be mushed up. It's just not. It's kind of stagnant. I thought it was awesome. They did like a stripped down, minimal version with just the drummer and then Halsey and then Wayne, and yeah, there might have been a DJ up there. I can't remember because the stage isn't huge. But either way, I thought it was awesome. It was really like hear the whole thing. Like I thought it was entertaining. I was really into it. So shout out to Wayne. He seems like he's in. Also, every time you see him, he seems like he's really good spirits. Obviously, probably baked, which I respect. I got no problem with that. But he looks like he's in great spirits. So good for that. It's good to see. It's good to see as a rap fan to see some serious longevity, even in an artist like Wayne, where a lot of people probably didn't think that he could, last so long. He has fucking been around forever, man, and like that's cool to see. Yeah, it's cool to see that just the longevity in rappers in general now, in like especially successful rappers can stay around for a while, which in a genre where everybody used to say was only for young people, and I was trying to tell people it's because the genre hasn't been old yet. Like once it gets old, like there's gonna be fans of it that grow with it, just like every genre, So it's good to see that is happening. Encouraging to see. How about that? Yeah, for sure. So I enjoyed Saturday Night Live. My funniest or the one where I was laughing the most was the Kate McKinnon skit where they're in I don't know if it was a mental hospital or they're talking about like their experiences with ghosts. Oh, it's so funny. If you get a chance, watch that. She's hilarious. And then one more music thing I was going to say is I don't know why I wanted to bring this up, specifically because J-Lo is amazing. But I watched this new Bad Bunny and J-Lo music video with because my guy, I mean, I like Bad Bunny. He makes good music, but my guy, shout out to my friend, my homie Frankie. Shout out to him. If you follow me on social media or anything, you've probably seen him, or you've seen him in all the videos. He's in everything. But anyways, he's a huge reggaeton fan, and so we had watched that music video, and I don't know how. I mean, first off, because she's with J-Lo and A-Rod are together, right? But she's this music video is with Bad Bunny, who I think is, I don't know, he looks pretty young. Either way, J-Lo looks like she could be younger than him. She looks so young, man. Like I can't believe it. And she's like 45. It's insane. But good for her. The song's pretty fire too. And I think I don't know if she's making a new album or what, but she just came out with a bunch of new stuff. So good for her. So shout out to J-Lo. All right, that's enough of that. I don't even know why I wanted to touch on that. I just felt like doing that. Anyways, before I get into this interview, I have to get into our weekly Chicago sports update. You know what it is. And this is a very exciting week because for the third week in a row, the Bears have won again. Bears. Is that 3 weeks in a row? I believe so. I believe I can count. And we are heading into probably the biggest game that the Bears have played in years, a couple years. I heard somebody say since that season finale against the Packers when we just blew the coverage, but it was for the division, which was, I want to say 2014. Excuse me. If I had an intern here to, verify stats for me, that would be helpful, but I don't. What the fuck? Got to work on my budget. No, but yeah, I believe it was 2014, that last game of the season against the Packers. This is probably the biggest game since then. So we're playing the Vikings. The winner will be in first place of the division. We are still in first place right now. But the Vikings are, I want to say a half game back. It's something weird with that tie. I think they're 5-3-1 and we're 6-3. But anyways, we need to win. We need to win, and we have I don't know we're favored. I don't know what it is because it's at home. It's the Sunday night game. We got flexed the Sunday night game. I know I mentioned that last week. So it's the night game. That is the primetime exciting game. There's a lot of good games this week. Tomorrow night, on Thursday night, the Packers play the Seahawks. Packers are fighting for their lives, so they need to win that. And then the Monday night game, the Chiefs-Rams. That was supposed to be Mexico City, but they're moving it because the field's all messed up in Mexico City or something like that. Kind of crazy. But now LA gets a home game. How about that? But anyways, yeah, this Bears game's huge. They dominated this past weekend. Excuse me. This past weekend against the Lions. The Lions looked like shit. I did not think they looked good at all. I don't know what's going on over there. But Mitch looked great. I thought the Bears looked really solid. I mean, so we just got to prove it against the Vikings. They have a good. They have a great team. They made it deep in the playoffs last year, obviously, and Thielen. You just got to lock Thielen up. So our secondary is really going to be tested. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I am somewhat confident. I'm confident. I believe the Bears can pull this out, but it's a huge game. Big test for the young guys. Hopefully Trubisky can keep improving. He keeps improving. So that Bears, really exciting stuff. And sticking with the football stuff, I had mentioned last week how I was hoping that I was going to win this week for my Pigskin Pick'em, and I want to verify with you that I did not. I did not win once again. I had a terrible week actually. Well, I thought it started off real tough. I think a lot of people had a rough week. The Bills won 41-10 or whatever. It was a weird week. The Browns beat the Falcons. I know some other weird shit happened. It was a strange week, and I did not do great. So I'm still winless in my spread league. So I'm I'm gonna continue to work my hardest. I'm gonna get my picks in maybe a day earlier now every week. I'm gonna focus harder. I'm gonna try to do some things. I gotta switch it up. I gotta get a W. I can't go winless on the whole year. That'd be terrible. And I'm gonna hold myself accountable by doing an update on my scores every week on this show. When I win, I want some congratulations from you guys because it's gonna happen. It's going to happen here. Anyways, switching, we're gonna talk a little basketball here before I get out of here and toss you over the interview. First off, finally, Jimmy Butler has been traded. So Jimmy got traded to the Sixers after he was creating ruckus in Minnesota, trying to demand his way out of there, and he finally got traded to the Sixers. Immediately, in my mind, making the Sixers, I mean, they were already a contender. In the East, obviously they had a great year last year, but Jimmy, I think, really puts them towards the top. I don't know if it would put them at the top. I mean, I think the Raptors look really good with Kawhi, and the Celtics are looking like they're struggling, but I think they'll figure it out. They have so much talent. They just have to figure out the right rotation. Gordon Hayward doesn't look 100% yet, but having him back, I think, helps them. Ultimately, they just have to figure out their rotation. I think they're still going to be there at the end. But having Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler on the same team, that's, I mean, Elton Brand said it, that's 3 top 20 players. It's also crazy that Elton Brand's their GM, right? I mean, he's that boss. I just remember when we drafted him, he was such a solid player for such a long time. I like a better Al Horford, right? I liked Elton Brand. Shout out to Elton Brand. Wish he would have been on some better teams, though, you know? Anyways, yeah, I think the Sixers are immediately big contenders. Yeah, the Raptors look good. I think Kawhi is on a mission this year. I mean, I think contract years are, it's a contract year for him, and I could see the Raptors coming out. I could see the Raptors coming out of the East, but now I could see the Sixers. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. I'll tell you who I could not see. And that's the Cavs. The Cavs are looking rough, but the Bulls did beat the Cavs, so that was a good victory for the Bulls. The Bulls, I actually got to watch them play the other day. Oh, against the Mavs. Luka Doncic. I think he's gonna be really good, man. I love his vision. I love his game, like his pace. He doesn't force anything. He had a bunch of turnovers. He didn't play great when I watched him against the Bulls, but I don't know. I just think he's gonna be really good for a really long time. But yeah, the Bulls struggled. The Bulls, yeah, they. So many injuries, though. You feel like this. I know they're not deep in the season, but I almost said this deep in the season. But with this many injuries, you almost feel like just tank it one more time. Let's get a really good lottery pick. Like one more good lottery pick. I feel like we're almost there. I mean, I think Lowry is so good once he comes back, and as he keeps growing and getting better, I think he could be a really good. I mean, he should be an all-star sooner or later. I think he's a really good player. Hopefully, but he could be. And then. Dunn's hurt. Who would be our starting point guard? It's not going to change the team completely, but he's good. But yeah, I mean, the Bulls are whatever. I like watching Zach LaVine. They're entertaining. I like Wendell Carter's good. I think that's a good pick. So I like the Lowry, Wendell, LaVine. That's a good. Those 3 guys are good. But I mean, one more like really. If we can get one of those Duke guys, game changer. Mark my words, RJ Barrett will average 25 points per game in the NBA at one point in his career. That dude gets buckets. Absolutely. All right. So we talked about the Eastern Conference. I think the Eastern Conference playoffs are going to be amazing because they're pretty stacked. Oh, and I didn't even mention when I was talking about those top 3 is the Bucks. The Bucks are playing amazing. I don't know. They might still be 1 year away, but I think they're going to have a really good regular season. Budenholzer's a good coach, and Giannis might win the MVP. I mean, he's having a monster year, and I don't see how that's going to change unless if he stays healthy the whole year. I think he really could win MVP this year. But we're going to switch over to the West, and the only team that anybody needs to talk about in the long term is the Warriors. I mean, they're by far the best team, most talented team, going for their three-peat this year. Most everybody I would predict that they're going to win it all. They have the talent too. I mean, it's hard not to think that they won't be there again at the end of the year. But with that being said, little turmoil in paradise, and I am sorry that I said that. There was no pun intended as far as the talks we had earlier about the town of Paradise, but I meant actually in Warriors land. They are fighting in house a little bit. Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. So what happened, for those of you who have not seen, the other night, there was a last possession of the game. The game was tied, and the Warriors got the rebound with like 6 seconds left. Draymond Green got the rebound. Kevin Durant was wide open right next to him, just asking for the ball, like begging for the ball. Draymond didn't pass to him, brought up the court, turned the ball over, and long story short, they end up losing in overtime. Before they end up losing, though, after that possession, Kevin Durant and Draymond Green exchanged words on the court because he was mad that he didn't pass him the ball. He's like, I'm trying to win the game, give me the ball, blah, blah, blah. And Draymond really starts yelling at him. You could see he's talking to DeMarcus Cousins, and he's like, yo, he's a bitch. He keeps saying, yo, he's a bitch. Draymond calls everybody a bitch, but clearly KD didn't like that. Apparently, there were some more words exchanged in the locker room. According to Stephen A. Smith, I saw this morning, and a couple other reports, Draymond Green said something to the effect of Durant being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, alluding to his contract year, because he is, he could leave after this year. And after that, the Warriors last night suspended Draymond Green without pay for 1 game. So he didn't play last night in their victory against the Hawks against Atlanta. Trae Young, shout out to Trae Young getting buckets out here. Ice Trae, you already know. But anyways, kind of crazy. Kind of. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, it's just words in the locker room. I think they'll probably make up. I think they'll probably be cool. Whatever. But like the fact that the Warriors actually suspended him a game without pay doesn't really happen that often, especially because Draymond's done a lot of shit. I mean, I'm sure he's gotten plenty of fights with people in locker rooms and stuff like that. But this one, they had felt the need to suspend him and whatnot. So, I mean, that's the only thing that could cause a little turmoil there. I don't think it will. I think they're still going to win it all. I think, if anything, this might make them a little more competitive. They might actually try every game. Sometimes they don't try every game. You could just tell sometimes they're taking nights off. They're not as crispy as usual. Because when they're crispy and when they're on, nobody's beating them. Nobody's even coming close to them, in my opinion. I mean, they are the best team I've ever seen, and they play amazing basketball. I mean, like when they're really on. And speaking to that, I was briefly watching some of that documentary on ESPN, Basketball: A Love Story. Really good stuff. I really want to watch the whole series. I haven't. But anyways, they were going over that the final series, the Heat Spurs finals a couple years ago, when the Heat got dominated. After the year before, they had won on that crazy Ray Allen 3, that crazy series. They went 7. And then the Spurs just dominated the Heat. And what they reminded me of was they showed how like beautifully they played during that. Like the Heat had won game 1, I believe, and then all of a sudden the Spurs won 4 in a row, and they won them all by like 20, and they were just like, everybody was touching the ball in every possession. The ball was just moving so well. They were hitting every 3. Kawhi was dominating. They had all these tip dunks. Like, that was also beautiful basketball. That was actually kind of like the start of this new era. They were like really pushing the ball, really going up tempo. And it's funny because you had always thought about the Spurs as like this old man's team. Like, I had always thought of the Spurs as like boring, like the Admiral, David Robinson and Tim Duncan and a couple like guards, and they would just like grind it out and win with all these old guys. But then all of a sudden this team was like, had a lot of those old guys, but they were like fast and up tempo and like really fun to watch and really exciting. And they started to progress with the league. And it's crazy how that happened. Anyways, yeah. So I like basketball. I like when they play well, too. I like when they play together. It's nice. And speaking of not playing well together and things imploding, the Rockets, that Carmelo experiment's over already. How about that? Carmelo is leaving. They're trying to see where for him to go. And I frankly don't know what his landing spot's going to be. I heard a couple people mention the Lakers. And, I mean, I guess if LeBron wants to try that out, I could see how that could be possible, but I don't see why that would be a good thing for all those young guys on the Lakers. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't think Carmelo looks like he's got a bunch left, personally. I mean, maybe he does. I'm sure he can make some shots. He still can get buckets, but it just not in today's NBA, especially with the Lakers playing so up-tempo. I don't see how that matches. So I don't think that's going to work. I don't know where he'll end up, but good luck to him. And Yeah. That's been your sports update on the David Lopez Show. Thank you for tuning into that. I don't really have many updates on my personal career front. I am still working on the album, and it is really progressing. That's pretty much the same thing I said last week. So I'm still working on that, and I'm trying to figure out some dates, and I am actually starting to pick some of those out. So that's exciting stuff. Please stay tuned. Please follow me on social media, on Instagram especially, because that's where I'm announcing a lot of stuff that pertains to the album and the forthcoming material that will be coming out. I appreciate all you guys tuning into the podcast. It really is helping me stay in tune with you guys as I am creating also. So like it's buying me time per se as I'm really trying to hone in on this material. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Please follow us on SoundCloud. Check me out at www.thedavidlopez.com, www.passionparkent.com. And please enjoy this talk with my homie Varsity, the very talented artist from Chicago. And make sure you check out his music. Follow him on social media as well. So click this link right here for you to watch the interview, and for all my people on Apple, listen in. Cheers. Enjoy.
I wonder if I could have my own show. Wait, but what would I do with my own show?